Welcome to the Play-by-Play with Patrick and Brandon, your home for updates and insights into the sports world.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Play-by-Play. This is going to make it episode 18. We're closing in on actually becoming a steady show, believe it or not. How are you doing today, Brandon?
I'm doing good. The haters wrote us off, and we didn't write back. They said, you guys haven't filled an episode since August of 2025. Surely you're not going to go on a consistent run and film episodes every week. They were wrong. We're here. And of course we are, because the preseason of the NFL is rolling along, and I'm starting to feel the light get back into my eyes.
He's excited again, everybody. Be scared. Excited Brandon LeBlanc is kind of a scary sight. But
Darren Morton hoops.
Regardless, when do you think the narrative switches from us, recording a couple episodes and then being gone for like a year, and now we're back, but maybe we're not back too. We're just back.
Episode 50. I feel like if we make it to 50, the haters are buried and they're never coming back. But obviously, long way to go. Maybe by that time I'll get to say Drake May, Super Bowl champion Drake May. God, just thinking about it gives me goosebumps.
All right, so there's a goal in mind. There's a target set. With that being said, what some would call a dead time in the sports here, preseason, just MLB. We actually have a pretty decent amount of stuff to talk about today. There is one place I want to start. I just want to touch on it real quick. Throw something out into the world, out into the atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? Earlier today, I sat down and had the opportunity to watch a playoff or play. I'm not really sure how it works. I think it was a play-in game for the European Champions League. So I watched LASK, which is a team from Austria, play the Glasgow Celtic. So I'm not a huge soccer fan, but if I had to pick a soccer team to root for, it has been the Glasgow Celtic. I have a lot of family that supports the Glasgow Celtic. Both here and across the pond. So I had the opportunity to watch that today, and it was a pretty impressive game. So they were trying to play in to make the European Champions League, which I believe is like the top of the top for European soccer. I mean, obviously it's not the World Cup, but with that aside, it's pretty big. And how it works is you're given an opponent to try and play in, and you play 2 games with aggregate scoring. So your score from the first game carries over into the second game. So whoever scores the most points between the 2 games wins. And apparently I didn't see the first game, but the Glasgow Celtics started up 3-0 going into today. They won their first game 3-0, and then today, which is Tuesday, we're releasing on Wednesday, so we record on Tuesday nights. So they walk in today starting up 3-0, and at the end of regulation, LASK outscored Celtic 4-1 to tie both games, to tie the series.
That's not good.
I believe they scored 3 in the second half. It was just insane. When I started watching, it was tied 1-1. I'm like, okay, I'll sit down and watch this. And they were just in Celtic territory the whole game. It was an absolute massacre. So we go into overtime, which is 2 15-minute halves in soccer, which is crazy. I mean, you play a 90-minute game and then a 30-minute overtime. Just wild to think about. In the second half of overtime, LASK scored 1 more to win the series 5-4 and make it to the Champions League. I believe the Champions League starts in a couple weeks at the start of September. If we have the time, maybe we'll cover it. We'll see.
Good chance. Little soccer coverage never hurt anyone.
The draw happens in Monaco, I believe, in a week before the actual thing starts. Could be kind of fun to make some predictions on a sport we know absolutely nothing about. Just straight aura and vibes alone.
Yeah, just be going with my gut, considering the amount of actual legit soccer clubs I could name is not many. It's like if I had a nickel for every soccer team I could name, I would have maybe 50 cents, which, I mean, cool, but
sure,
it's not going to blow anyone. It's like, yeah, all right. I'm not a ball knower when it comes to soccer. Never claimed to be, so could be nice to try something new.
Maybe we'll get there. Who knows? Who's to say?
One day.
But with that, I think it's time to get back to, good old America, good old-fashioned red, white, and blue sports. And what better place to start than the MLB? And I think I want to get straight into the team of the week. And, we foreshadowed it the last couple episodes, the Chicago Cubs. I've talked a lot about this four-horse race in the National League. We got the Braves, we got the Brewers, and we got the Dodgers, who have all been talked about. And I'd say the last huge contender, at least for right now, would be the Cubs. They've been very back and forth all season, but they've done some impressive winning. They beat the Dodgers in a series at the start of August. I know we talked about that. And since then, they've won series against the Royals, Nationals, and White Sox. In turn, they lost to the Cardinals, uh, which is all right, I guess. They're kind of stuck in the division of doom and despair. You know, they have to deal with the Cubs and the Brewers. So that's no fun for any other team in that division at this moment in time. Like every other team in baseball, they've been hit with a lot of injuries. Um, they have quite a few pitchers on the 60-day IL. Uh, Relievers Hunter Harvey and Phil Maton are looking like their seasons are over. But with that being said, Ben Brown has been out since June, but might be back in September, which would be huge for their starting rotation. They have good depth, so they've been staying afloat. But Ben Brown, when he was healthy, had a 1.85 ERA. You know, that's not a replaceable guy. Regardless of
No,
how good their depth, their bench has been, him coming back would be huge for them. But
especially nice in September,
they're
right? Oof.
yeah, no, it's huge. They do have other guys that have been, you know, picking up the slack for him. Shota Imanga, Matthew Boyd, Cade Horton, Colin Ray, all pretty impressive pitchers. But again, I would probably consider Ben Brown their best pitcher when he's active. You know, a lot of their other guys have had down years. They've been inconsistent, which granted, you know, it's their depth playing, so of course they're going to be a little inconsistent. But him coming back could be a huge surge for them going into the playoffs. But let's be honest with ourselves, Brandon. When we're talking about the Cubs, we're not talking about pitching. We're talking about the National League MVP frontrunner,
Oh,
PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong.
what a guy. What a guy.
He's on a one-man war right now. Obviously, baseball is a huge team sport, but I mean, to keep it frank, he's been on a one-man war. He has a huge chip on his shoulder. He kind of feels like he's been a little underappreciated, and he's been showing that. He's been showing how he feels with his game. He is the front runner for the MVP right now. He has pulled ahead of Shohei Ohtani. Thank you, PCA. Got to appreciate a man taking it to the Dodgers. They do have a good, decent amount of pieces around him. Besides him, other notable players include Seiya Suzuki, and a name you might recognize. I feel like this has been a running trend for a couple weeks. Guys the Red Sox give up on that play very well for other
Oh,
teams. Alex Bregman. What do you think about Alex Bregman, Brandon?
I uh I don't know if there are words that can accurately describe how I feel seeing a former Red Sox player succeed on another team. It's not exactly a new emotion or feeling for me. I've been in that situation before. Uh, Mookie Betts, watching him ball out
Biggest one.
on the evil empire that is the Dodgers, that obviously hurt me. As far as Bregman goes, good for him. I'm happy for him. The Sox are doing all right enough right now to where it doesn't like the knife doesn't dig in too deep. I can stomach it. I can live with it. Good for him. As long as the Sox keep rolling, I'm fine. I'm not going to get upset about it. I'm going to turn over a new leaf. I'm going to be peaceful. I'm going to be content.
I think the story of Alex Bregman really is a story of Red Sox incompetence. Because I mean, you can very clearly look at what happened to him last year and what happened to him this year. With the Sox last year, he had a very slow start to the season. You know, he had a pretty big slump, but then he really started heating up. He was a great piece at the end of the year, which didn't really matter for the Red Sox, to be honest, last year. But you know, in Red Sox fashion, they decide to give up. The Cubs end up picking up Alex Bregman. Again, he has a very slow start to the season this year, but he's picked it up and he's been balling. He's been balling. A team with some competence, a team with some patience, actually knows how to handle their players, and it's paying dividends for them right now. But with that being said, there's really only one question. You know, it's been the same question all year. I'm
Stop.
sure
I know what it's going to be.
I'm sure people are sick of it by now. I'm sure people are really sick of it. We touched on it briefly a couple episodes ago. You mentioned the evil empire. Do you think the Cubs can beat them? Do you think Pete Crow Armstrong can pull out his best Luke Skywalker impression and dethrone the Dodgers?
I'm going to sound like a broken record, Uh, I want it to happen. Any team going up against the Dodgers is going to be the team I root for. Is going to be the team that 99% of this country roots for. Anyone who watches baseball that is one of the five legitimate Dodgers fans out there is going to want the Cubs, the Brewers, the Braves, whoever to win. Uh, as much as in a 7 game series, I would lean towards saying, the Dodgers' overwhelming talent will, give them 4 out of 7. It's one thing to, beat a team once on a random, Tuesday night in August. It's another thing to beat that team 4 times in 7 games, in the playoffs. That being said, anything can happen. As we know, the injury bug is merciless and does not care about your fans or your legacies or your stories. All it takes is one or two lucky strokes for the Cubs, a couple of bad breaks for the Dodgers, and suddenly it's a much more even series, a much more winnable series for the Cubs. Obviously, can't say enough good things about Pete Crow Armstrong. He's been an absolute tear, all contact hitter, can also launch the ball into the upper atmosphere. Uh, just on a tear right now. Like you said, Bregman's been really good for them. They have a well-rounded team. They dropped a couple of series, which happens. It's not every team can be like the Red Sox were in that stretch to July, early August, where you just like don't lose for 18 games, whatever it was. You're gonna drop a couple. You're gonna drop a series or two. It happens. Like you said, the Cardinals and the White Sox, not exactly the upper echelon of the MLB, but they're also not the basement. It's not like the Mets rolled into town and beat them 8 times in a row. If that happened, I'd be like, you know what,
It's
Chicago,
over. Blow it up.
pack it up. It's a wrap. Thank you, Cubs Nation. We'll see you next year. The White Sox and Cardinals are good enough teams that on any given night, any given series, they can play good baseball, give you a run for their money. There's a chance. Chicago, there is a chance. And like, I don't know, I don't really have fully developed feelings on the city of Chicago. I mean, I'm not a Chicago fan by any stretch of the imagination. I don't really follow Chicago sports. That being said, a lot of icons from the city of Chicago. I mean, you've got Michael Jordan, Derrick Rose, Walter Payton, CM Punk, Bilal Muhammad, all people that when you think Chicago, like, oh, I think of Chicago, I think Bilal Muhammad. Good city. I like it. So there's a chance. There's a chance that if these two teams meet in the postseason, Dodgers, Cubs, it could get Cubby. It could get Cubby up in here, and we could see them win. Competitive series. I feel like that goes without saying, given the level of talent that the Dodgers have. There's not a single team in the league that is going to make it look easy. You just can't. It's not going to happen. Uh, a competitive series where there's a chance. So, like I said, the the Braves, Brewers, Cubs, y'all just got to figure out which one of you is the best and send that team healthiest against the Dodgers. Like just team up. You got to band together. There's a higher calling here. It's not just about you.
Save
It's about
baseball.
it's about whether it's like Milwaukee fans. I know you want to win. You want to win a World Series. Do you want to see your team play next year? Then someone's got to beat Los Angeles. So yeah,
That
let's
is a
see it.
good
Let's see if they
question.
can get Cubby.
Would you be willing to watch? We can say any sport. Obviously, we'll use baseball for this question. This minor hypothetical. Would you be willing to sacrifice a year of the sport if your team won the World Series? So if the Red Sox won the World Series this year, but that meant you knew there'd be no baseball next year, would you do
Oh,
it?
that's tough. That is really.
I'd ruin everyone else's fun personally.
I got. You know what? Yeah, it's 1 year. It's 1 year, and the Red Sox will win the world. Yeah, you know what? I don't know what that says about me. Whether I'm a hypocrite for getting mad at the Dodgers fans for wanting, more or
Well, they
less
don't
that same thing.
exist.
Well, there might be two of them. We're not sure. The science is unclear. But
They'll
yeah,
have to
you
get
know
back
what?
to us
I
on that.
I think you're right. I think I would ruin everyone else's baseball watching experience to see Jaron Duran Wilson Contreras and Wilyer Abreu and the power of friendship hold up a World Series trophy. I would. Sorry, baseball fans. It's a wrap. It is a wrap. It is done. I would ruin the next year of your baseball experience to watch that happen. So, damn, I
Yeah.
might be the biggest hypocrite of all time. Shoot.
Well, you know what? Like I said, I agree with you. Getting back on track a little bit. I also think the Cubs do have an outside chance. I think everyone's chance is going to be an outside chance. But, PCA potentially the best player in baseball right now. I mean, obviously, you could look at Shohei the exact same way. But the issue becomes, PCA can't just win by himself. He can't go Captain America and beat the whole team doing everything by himself. It has to be a win by committee. So you need that team to be healthy. You need them to be strong, and you need them to be more consistent than they've been. The one thing about the Cubs that scares me is we've not seen the consistency we're going to need to see in the playoffs. Because not only do you have to be consistently good, you have to be consistently perfect. You can't make any mistakes against the Dodgers. We saw it last year. There are teams that had good games and one mistake cost them because the Dodgers are so talented that one mistake is all it takes. You did bring up the Brewers and the Brewers fans wanting to win one. We are moving on to more of our regular stories, and we're going to start that off with a question from Drew in Milwaukee. After
Ooh.
getting swept by the Padres, the Brewers have won 3 straight series, which include winning 3 out of 4 against the Dodgers in LA, beating the Mariners 22-0, and a series win against the Braves. And they're tied for the best record in all of baseball. I believe right now, as we're recording this, they're 1 game ahead of the Dodgers. Do either of you guys think this is finally the year the Brewers get it done? Um,
Patrick, Patrick, there has to be an error. I could have swore I just heard you say they beat the Mariners 22 to nothing, and I'm like thinking to myself, this isn't football. The Packers, didn't play the Seahawks. This is the Brewers and the Mariners. 22 to nothing is not a baseball score. Maybe was it 2 to nothing? Was it 12 to nothing? Surely that must be fake, right?
yeah, it's kind of interesting because the week before this, I went to go see a Brewers game, and I watched them
You
play
don't
the
say.
Pirates, and I believe they scored 5 runs. The Pirates might have scored 3 or 4, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. I'm thinking, dang, that's a pretty good, high-scoring, exciting baseball game. And then next week, I'm flipping around on my TV, and I see the Brewers up 22-0. You
Ooh,
couldn't have done that at the game I went to. You could,
they put on it was Mario
unfortunate.
Super Sluggers, easy difficulty,
They had the
just
Wiggler.
launching absolute nukes. Just pardon my French, putting belt to behind uh, on the entire city of Seattle. I feel like if your team suffers a loss that bad,
Pack it
and
up.
not even just 22 runs as a differential is disgusting. Like I have to sort of set that standard first. That's disgusting. They got shut out. They did not manage to score a single run. So not only are the Brewers launching every single pitch, into orbit around the moon, they are putting the entire city of Seattle into a box and allowing no runs. Like that's impressive. It's ridiculous. Uh Certainly Brewers fans, uh I would like to know how that feels. That's just crazy. Um
I believe it was the largest shutout win in the history of baseball since the 1800s. It might be tied,
wow.
but it's definitely since the 1800s.
That's
It's the
impressive.
leader. And, I'm sorry, consider this a hot take, and I apologize, Babe Ruth fans, if you're still alive, but baseball before Jackie Robinson doesn't exist. So if you ask me, bar none,
Whoa.
it's the largest blowout lead in the history of
Whoa.
baseball.
Whoa. That's going to be a controversial statement. I'm sure the old heads are going to love that. Uh, you know, hopefully we don't have the Unk army descend on us and say you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know real baseball. Back when God, that you might have just cooked us, Patrick. But putting that
We'll see.
aside, do I
I
think the
welcome all
Brewers
comers. If they
do
want
I
to talk
think the
about it, we'll talk
Brewers have a
about it.
chance? The Brewers I I feel like it's hard to say confidently they have a chance because obviously the knock on them has been they look great in the regular season, but they get to the playoffs and they just can't get over the hump. Uh, you really would hope this would be the year because if they come up short again, it's just like devastation, utter despair and desolation on the city of Milwaukee. I mean, after they lost Giannis, I feel like that city could really use a win because I mean, what else is going on up there? Realistically, you don't have Giannis
Drinking,
anymore. I
alcoholism.
cheese. That's like I mean, not saying that alcohol and cheese are bad things. I mean, I would say that those are both great things, but
I would
you
agree.
lose Giannis, you really need a sports win. Would love to see the Brewers finally get over the hump. I don't know. I don't want to say anything too certain and then look like an absolute buffoon come September and October. Granted, I've already made like 20 billion wrong predictions on the UFC on this show, so maybe I'm nervous over nothing.
Yeah, I mean, this is a topic that we've definitely talked about a lot. It's been one of the bigger stories in the MLB this year. Um, I mean, they have a chance. I was very high on the Brewers last year as well. They were in a similar
Really?
spot where they had one of, if not the best records in baseball. And I said, hey, if there's any time to do it, if there's any time to stick it to the Dodgers, it's right now. And then look what happened. They got absolutely destroyed. So it's a very similar situation as last year, which is what scares me. Like, I want to think, the Brewers could do it, the Cubs could do it, the Braves could do it, come to World Series, the Rays could do it. And a lot of teams were saying that last year, and it ended up being completely false, which is the cynic in me coming out. At the end of the day, I think, of course, there's a chance. In baseball, there's always a hitter's chance. They have a lot of great hitters on that Brewers team. We've seen Jackson Chourio light on fire this month, which has been incredible. Plenty of other guys. They just got Sal Frelick back. Not necessarily the most incredible hitter, but great for their defense. Um, yeah, we'll see. It's tough. It's tough. We've talked about it a lot. I think our answer remains the same. Maybe, maybe. But I've been burned once before.
Perchance.
Speaking of the Dodgers, we've been talking about them all day, even though we've been talking about other teams, but they picked it up again since losing to the Brewers. They swept the Pirates and the Rockies. Not super impressive, but now we get to see them play the Braves. Another one that I would consider pretty important. The Braves are
Oh,
going in.
playoff preview.
Yeah, potentially. The Braves are going in with a huge chip on their shoulders, like every other team that plays the Dodgers. And the interesting part is the Braves have gone cold. They got swept by the Twins and they lost to the Brewers. Still a team to keep an eye on, obviously, but it is becoming a very bad time to go cold. You got to win baseball when it gets close to the playoffs. You got to be in playoff form. Since last week, the Red Sox beat the Diamondbacks and swept the Giants. Neither win really moves me, to be honest, but seeing them back in the win column after a disastrous couple of weeks is great to see. I don't know if you have any opinions on that, Brandon.
You know what, Patrick? I don't have any opinions on this, but I know someone who does. And I don't know if you watch a lot of TikTok or Instagram reels. There's this one guy, I can't remember his username, but he does a really good Boston accent. And he does this whole bit where he's Donnie from Dorchester, you know what I'm saying? And let me tell you something, kid. Donnie thinks the Sox are friggin' nasty, kid. The Sox are nasty. They got a big series coming up. I don't know if you've seen on Friday. They're gonna start playing the Yanks in a 4-game series, kid. We're rolling in at the right time, and if we win the next couple against the Marlins, kid, could take that first wild card spot. So, Donnie's gonna be watching the TV. He's gonna be glued to it, kid. So yeah, Donnie, thanks for calling in, Donnie. That was cool. Sox got a big stretch coming up, a couple more against the Marlins, and then 4 games in a row against those absolute morons in the pinstripes, the New York Yankees.
Nice.
Uh,
Well
I don't
said.
think I don't think words can describe how happy I would be if we rolled up against those absolute bums from New York and put belt on them and snatch the first wild card spot from them. That would I'm trying to think of a proper metaphor. So to you, Patrick, and to all of our viewers out there, do you remember when you were like 7 years old and it was like the night before Christmas and you went to bed and you were so excited you could barely sleep? but you had so much energy from the anticipation of it being Christmas that when 6:30 a.m. rolled around, you popped out of bed like you were shot from a cannon and ran downstairs to look at the presents. That is how excited I would be if we beat the Yankees in this series and got the first wild card spot. I would be running circles around my house like a wind-up toy, like just astronomical levels of happiness. So I got I got one thing to say to Red Sox Nation. Let's go. Let's go. It's time. We've been trying to get this wild card spot from the Yanks for what feels like a long time now. Ever since we flipped the script on this whole season, one of the biggest narratives for Sox Nation has been, can we close in on New York? Can we close in and just snatch the chain and just put the knife in the heart of all of the Yankees fans that unfortunately roam this earth? So I'm fired up for that personally. I think the Sox obviously they had a little bit of a stumble after the big win streak, but like you said, they've picked it up a little. They've somewhat returned to form, had some at least solid wins. Uh, would be a great momentum booster, a great morale booster to beat your division rival so close to playoff time. Really just show that you are more than capable of handling them in a series. I Go Sox, go Sox. I'm dialed. I'm fired up.
Yeah,
Ooh, baby.
it's a very opportune time to get the Yankees because for what feels like weeks, like you're right, it's felt like a really long time. The Red Sox have been like permanently 3 games behind the Yankees, and we haven't really been able to tighten that up. Conversely, the Yankees haven't been able to blow it open. They've struggled at the same time the Red Sox have struggled. They've succeeded at the same time the Red Sox have succeeded to keep it really even. So this series is huge for both teams. The Red Sox rock up and they win 2, even 3 against the Yankees and make this a tight race. It's big. If they blow the Yankees out and they take the wild card spot, it's huge. Conversely, if the Yankees can put belt on the Red Sox, Yankees fans can rest a little easy, especially with the potential of Aaron Judge and Cody
What
Bellinger
did you
coming
say?
back for the playoffs. Hey, there's a chance. There's a chance. Gotta call it like I see it. Gotta call it like I see it. But regardless, it's going to be big. We'll definitely have to talk a lot about it next week after it
He's
happens.
not a homer. He's not a homer,
Gotta
guys.
call it like I see it. Believe it or not. Uh, yeah, definitely have to talk more about that one next week and the huge playoff implications, especially like you said, being just about a month out at this point. Other than that, the Rays lost 2 games to the Orioles, who are not really in the playoff picture at all, but they just kind of
Baltimore?
refuse to die. The Orioles have been a pain in the rest of the AL East this entire season. It's been so funny. They've been losing so many games, and then you see them play the Sox, you see them play the Yankees, you see them play the Rays, and they decide to turn into a real baseball team again. I really don't understand it. Um, the Rays did just win their first game against the Tigers, so potentially back on track. They're the other team to keep an eye on. Not that the Sox or Yankees really have a chance to catch up with them at this point. Other than that, a lot of Red Sox talk. The Adley Rutschman trade has been working out, which has been very big for Red Sox fans. His hitting, again, not great for the Sox so far, but we have a lot of other guys hitting big. And the whole team has come out, managers have come out, talking about how great Adley Rutschman has been defensively. His work with the pitching staff has been great. A very big, like, unifier, big leader for that team, which is huge going into the playoffs. You need someone to kind of, you know, put the banner on their chest, really bring the identity of the team together. And it seems like Adley Rutschman might be able to do that. So with all that being said, a lot of talk about the AL East, the Cubs, the Dodgers, the Brewers, the Braves. Any bold late season predictions from you? Is there anything that you'll say that I can clip and look back on and make fun of you for in a couple months?
You know what? I know I just said I don't want to come out and say anything too crazy, I don't want to look like an absolute buffoon when this is like so wrong in a month or two. But I gotta say, the Sox are nasty, kid. The Sox are good, dude. Like, you don't want to see this team come October, kid. That's what I'm saying, Wilson Contreras is a beast, guy. So that's gonna be my big take. Nobody wants to see the Sox come playoff time because they know this team is a wagon. They know the power of friendship is strong. And I mean, have you seen Wilyer Abreu? I mean, he just
Yeah.
He just inspires me.
He's a
He
dog.
just inspires me and he makes me happy. So yeah, go Sox. That's going to be my big thing. No one wants to see the Red Sox come playoff time because everything is coming together and this team feels like something special. The fans can feel it. I'm excited. Uh, if God forbid, if the Sox don't make it all the way and I look like an absolute clown in a month, I won't even be that mad because in this moment right now I feel hope, and that's what matters to me.
It's a good outlook on life. Another great philosophical moment from Brandon right there.
I
I
got a
feel like
couple of
those are
those.
starting to pile up. We do have one more baseball question before we move on for the day.
Ooh,
From Andrew in Boston. And, I think he's just excited as you because it's important to note in the submission form when there's a question, where are you from? Not only does it say Boston, it says Boston with an exclamation point. Someone's
wow,
feeling good, feeling themselves, feeling the city. Great to
nice.
see. So, anyways, the question is, I went to a Red Sox game at Fenway the other day, and I couldn't help but wonder how different the results of all the World Series winners would be if every stadium was identical and didn't have barriers such as the Green Monster. Would certain things have or have not happened? Should baseball have every park have the same length and height of the barriers along the outfield?
So interesting question. Uh, I feel like obviously you go to an NFL stadium, an NBA basketball court, pretty much every other sport has standard dimensions for their field. So in that way, Major League baseball is a bit of an outlier. You see, home run friendly stadiums like the Yankee Stadium. You see Wrigley Field that had, I don't know if they still have it, but they had the vine at the edge of the outfield. You've got the Green Monster and Boston Kid. You've got a lot of unique stadium quirks that, on the one hand, it's part of baseball's charm. It has sort of retained a unique look and feel to the stadiums that you don't see in any other sport. Every NFL stadium is exactly, 100 yards. Every basketball court, every soccer field is the same dimensions. It's part of what gives baseball, I think, a little bit of its charm. But I'm sure obviously there are stadiums where you can hit a home run in one that would be, a triple in another stadium. I do wonder if it does give teams a bit of a, competitive advantage. It probably, if anything, enhances a home field advantage because not only do you have your fans there, you also know where to hit the ball so that it goes longer or shorter. Where's the best spot to try to pull it to hit a home run? So, in that way, I don't have a problem with it. Would it maybe change like a couple of runs here and there? Perhaps, perhaps. Home field advantage matters more then? I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I might even be more firmly ensconced in the side that, ballpark identity is important. I think like the first thing to acknowledge is like, could certain plays have maybe changed in different parks? I guess. But the important thing is, the team you're playing is playing in the same park as you. Like it's not like you're playing a game where, you do all your batting in one park and the other team does all their batting in the other. That's just not what it is. That's not the case. You play every single game, in the same park as your opponent, and that's what's important. You have the exact same conditions as another team. Um, I also think that ballpark identity is very important for not only just cities, you have Fenway. It's iconic to the city of Boston. You have Wrigley in Chicago. It's important for tourism. You have a lot of people, seeking out these ballparks, see what's different, see what they like, see what they don't like. I believe my uncle Kevin and my cousin Ian have made it one of their missions to go to every ballpark in the country, and well, not just the country because Toronto, but uh, I'm sure
That's
there are other
six.
people that do that, I mean, it sounds like a fun idea. I can't imagine they're the only people that have ever thought to do that. It sounds great, fun, great for tourism, great for sports. So it's really just become a part of the identity of baseball, like you said. It adds a lot to the charm. And like you did kind of touch on, the only thing it really inflates is statistics for home teams. Like when you see a baseball team that's at home, like the Yankees playing in Mickey Mouse Park. So of course they're going to have inflated stats. Now you're going to have all the Aaron Judge fans mad at me saying, "Oh, all the home runs he hit would have been home runs in any other park in the MLB." Whatever, sure, if you say so. But the park's Mickey Mouse regardless.
Sounds like cope to me.
Yep. So yeah, I really don't think there's any point in standardizing the MLB. I don't even think there's the infrastructure to do it. Even if we take this out of a hypothetical, if you try and change every park in certain cities, it's just not going to happen.
I think all of Boston would riot if they tried to take down the Green Monster. I can think of few cultural landmarks in the entire state of Massachusetts that people would be more upset about than trying to take down the Green Monster. I mean, when you think of phrases that your typical Boston guy would say, besides, like Dunkin' Donuts, you hear a lot of Dunkin' Donuts. One of the phrases I think of is the Green Monster. You're not getting rid of the Green Monster, kid. It's not happening. That would be terrible. But the entire state would mourn the loss of the Green Monster. It's iconic, just like the vine at the edge of Wrigley was. I don't know if they still have that. Um, I
I
feel like
believe
that
they
would.
do.
I feel like that's got at some point someone has gotten injured from that. I feel like it's impossible that no one has ever gotten wrapped up in the vine and popped a shoulder out or that seems a little scary. The Green Monster though, perfect. I love it. Just cultural landmark, joy to the world. Uh, yeah, good question from Andrew in Boston.
Great
Glad
question.
to hear that. Glad to hear that he's loving Boston. The exclamation point really sells it. Great city.
A lot of whimsy, a lot of joy just from that exclamation point. You really love to see
Heck
it.
yeah.
But with that being said, I think that's really all we got on the MLB this week. Of course, more next week, more every week. That's been the standard for quite some time now. But with that being said, we got more NFL preseason and a couple other things to talk
Oh
about.
yes.
But we'll
Time for the
start with the fun
gridiron.
stuff.
Oh, this
Uh,
is joy.
some big preseason week 2 reactions. Ty Simpson train unfortunately came to a halt. The Rams said, "You were too exciting. You were making Matthew Stafford look bad. We got to calm it down." And I understand it. As a Simpson guy, I also understand how like his success is frightening to other people. I,
Wow.
I completely understand it. So he very humbly took a step back, took a seat, said, "You know what? Yeah, I'll let the other guys ride it out for now." And 75-year-old Stetson Bennett took the reins for the Rams this week, and he had a pretty great game. They trounced the Saints, uh, and he had like 200 something yards and a couple touchdowns. It was pretty electric for the old guy. Good to see some poise and that he's really looking NFL ready, as he should at the age of 75. That's some veteran intellect right there.
Rams quarterback room looking really good right now.
Yeah,
You got the reigning MVP. You have, to be quite honest, one of the most legendary college football unks that has ever walked this earth. I mean, Stetson Bennett, what was he, 25, his senior year at Georgia? And then you've got the Ty Simpson hype train. So you've got three guys that, or at least two guys that if Matthew Stafford, had to miss a game or two, you could trot out Ty Simpson or Stetson Bennett. And could they give you a whole season of good play? Stetson Bennett, probably not. Ty Simpson, we don't know yet. I'm going to say we don't know yet for Ty Simpson because
and,
he's,
and look,
so
look.
young in his career.
Let me say this: Are the Rams holding back the tidal wave that is Ty Simpson by putting their faith in MVP winner Matthew Stafford? I'd say yes. Me personally, I would say yes. Just looking at it fairly, super evenly, no horse in the race, no bias. I think they're holding him back. I think at some point you got to let a force of nature be a force of nature.
At this point in their careers, Ty Simpson is a, very green prospect. Stetson Bennett,
If
we
you
haven't
say
seen
so.
too much of him. We haven't seen too much of Stetson Bennett in an actual NFL game. If you're the Rams, neither of these guys is gonna. You don't want them to see the field in the regular season or the playoffs. You have Matthew Stafford coming off of probably the best year in his career outside of maybe 2011. He played great football last year. But you're also feeling confident that if Stafford tweaks his ankle, shoulders a little sore, has to rest his aging knees, you could put Bennett or Ty Simpson in there, and you'll still play competitive football. I think you could maybe get a couple games out of them in week 9 or 10, where you can still go out there and instead of just saying, you know what, you guys win this one, you could actually go and try to win that football game and feel somewhat confident in your quarterback. So, as far as evaluating players in the preseason, which I've said before is really hard to do, It's hard to figure out how good someone is when they're playing another team's third stringers. But good game from Stetson Bennett there. I believe on the other end of the field, the New Orleans Saints trotted out Spencer Rattler, who threw an 100-yard pick six in a preseason game. So saw Fernando Mendoza's 80-yard pick six and said, I got one more in me, and I'm going to one up you on this one, and have them take it the whole length of the field the other way for a touchdown. So if you're the Saints, you have Tyler Shuck,
Done.
so you're probably fine. At the same time, Spencer Rattler just rattling all over the field, I guess. Just incredible preseason cinema from that. Uh, oh boy. I did hear about another backup quarterback kind of balling out. I believe Joe Milton had a good game for the
Patriots
Cowboys.
legend.
Patriots legend, who, believe it or not, I had people telling me in 2024 that the Patriots were dumb for starting Drake May because we had Joe Milton on the roster. And they would show that one clip of, I don't know if anyone's seen it, Joe Milton just like at training camp doing a backflip, and they'd be like, dude, look at how athletic he is, bro. I'll be like, yeah, he doesn't know how to read a defense, but yeah, sure, he should be the starter.
Well,
But
so
Joe
you
Milton,
said.
Joe Milton, 179 yards, two tutties, little rushing action for the Cowboys.
Proving you wrong.
Obviously, obviously on this podcast, we are going to say Joe Milton is not going to cause a quarterback controversy because I don't know about you. I am going to be high on Dak Prescott. After I believe it was our fifth episode interview with Cowboys insider Todd Archer,
You'd be
who
right.
had nothing but good things to say about Dak Prescott. No quarterback controversy in Dallas, but for all the Bazooka Joe fans out there, you have more material to say that he should start. You have more delusion fuel in your head. So good for you guys. I'm happy for you. Uh, that's enough on that. I'm done with Joe Milton.
Following that, a good story out of San Francisco. You have somebody recovering from injury, which we hear about every other week over there. I wonder why.
Oh
Surely
boy.
there's nothing correlating. After missing all of last season with what I believe was an Achilles injury, Jacob Cowing returned a punt for an 83-yard touchdown for the Niners. Pretty impressive to look at. Just a great little highlight to come out of the preseason. Some more cinema was the word I believe you used earlier.
You know, it's moments like that that just they make sports more than just a game. That's something that I was fortunate enough to do a lot of research on last fall, which is how do sports market to people. And one of the things that they love is showing that their athletes aren't just people who play a game. They're people who can overcome incredible adversity. And to anyone who knows anything about sports, Achilles injuries are devastating. That is your Achilles, your calf, that is all of your pop. You're going to think about that every time you plant your foot. It is a hard injury to rehab from. It is a hard injury to come back and reach the level you were at before the injury. So seeing an 83-yard touchdown return coming off a devastating injury like that just makes you smile, makes you, you know, that good, nice. It's good. It's nice to see someone returning from an injury on the 49ers when it seems like 90% of their roster is in the IR, but not because of the substation, not because of the
No,
electrical substation. They did an investigation. It has nothing to do with it. Why would you even say that? Why are we even talking about this right now? I don't know. Let's move on.
a great feel-good story. Substation aside, gamma radiation, the Incredible Hulk, all put to the side. There is another feel-good story in the NFL this week. Jets fans, rejoice. Take heed in your salvation. There's finally something to be happy about. It's not
Wow.
all clouds and rain. It's not all doom and despair. Your team has made history. They snap their year-long interception drought thanks to Andre Cisco. It was a full season.
Wow.
Not one interception all year last year.
It doesn't
Not one.
count because it's preseason, but like I guess we'll give it to them because they could honestly use a win. So go New York fans. That's the best thing that's going to happen to you all season. And I'm saying that before the season has even started. That's how confident I am in your guys's lack of ability to play good football. So good
It
for
won't
them.
even It won't even go down the record book, like you
Nope.
said, but it showed there's a glimmer of hope. There's a chance that they actually do something exciting this year. And that's
A faint
interesting
light.
because it would be the first time in 20 years more.
I think the last time the Jets made the playoffs was 2010 with the Sanchez, Mark Sanchez, and Rex Ryan as the quarterback coach duo. It's been a minute. And in the AFC right now, looking at the roster construction the Jets have, if you were thinking about getting your playoff hopes up, which I don't think many Jets fans were, I would say hold your horses. I think 4 wins is about where you cap off after looking at your schedule and your starting quarterback being Geno Smith. Uh, but hey, you got an interception in a preseason game. Good for you. But you're forgetting, Patrick. There's another team in the AFC East that played a preseason game this weekend.
Am I?
My New England Patriots. My
I
New
was
England
wondering.
Patriots.
I didn't see I didn't see the Brandon designated Patriot Glaze session
Well,
in the
it's on the
itinerary.
schedule. It's on the schedule, Patrick, and it's happening again because I was fortunate enough to be in attendance live for this game. New England Patriots versus Philadelphia Eagles. Let me tell you, the game started slow, but Tommy DeVito hit Kyle Williams for an absolutely beautiful touchdown pass. And then in the second half, we trotted out notorious GOAT Baron Morton. If you heard me talk about him last week, you're going to hear me talk about him a lot more. In the second half, I'm going to just read you the stat line. Only played one half, by the way. 13 of 17, 129 yards, touchdown. Game-winning touchdown in the
Bang.
fourth quarter on like a 2-minute drill. Baron Morton efficiency hits Nick DeGennaro, who is a wide receiver I didn't know existed until last game. I know who he is now because he got wide open, streaking down the field for a touchdown. And the 3 Eagles fans that were sitting in front of me despaired and forced fumble to end the game and lock it up for the Patriots. A little preseason dub. I liked what I saw. Just like I said with the Rams, you look at Tommy DeVito, you look at Baron Morton, and you think we do not have a controversy at quarterback. We're fine there. Drake May is here. I'm going to rotate my camera for a little bit. We have the Drake May shirt up in the background, just for vibes. Uh, at the same time, if Drake May were to, God forbid, have to miss a couple games, I feel like you could trot out Baron Morton or Tommy DeVito and still go out there and try to win a football game. So, as far as I'm concerned, it was an absolute. I see this as an absolute win. We beat the Eagles, so Philadelphia, y'all can hold that L. I'm happy. Kyle Williams looked good. Efton Chisholm had a couple of nice catches. For all my chiselers out there, let's go. We up.
Any update on his touchdown dance?
What I'm hearing is that it is a mix of the dab and the gritty, and it is going
Oh
to
God.
change the NFL. It is going to change the NFL. So keep your eyes out for Chisholm's first touchdown in the regular season. It's probably gonna blow the roof off the stadium. But yeah, no, Chisholm looked good. Kyle Williams looked good. Both of our quarterbacks looked good. The defense had a couple of lapses. One of our linebackers, oh, crap, I feel like I'm blanking on his name. I think his last name is Mamu. Oh, it's Muma. He did not look that great. He had some troubles like picking up the run. And in terms of like scheming, we had a couple of noticeable lapses. The biggest thing that I saw is the Eagles had like 4 or 5 separate plays where, they're running a little like short pass action and the Patriots defense is all focused down the field. They get a running back to just pop out in the flat with no one on him and get like 20 yak yards off of a little like dump and run, which you can't do. That's obviously just someone's either blowing their coverage and not picking him up, or you're just not anticipating that. So, it's preseason. The reason you play preseason games is to work out the kinks in your defense, figure out who's going to be, your backup, your third string, so you can, plug and play if someone goes down, figure out the depth chart. But, some stuff to work on from the defensive side. But overall, a good game. It was entertaining. It was fun to watch. Patriot Nation was absolutely hype for Baron Morton. game-winning drive. So good vibes coming out of New England. My New England Patriots. They think we're going to regress this year? I think not. I think not, Patrick.
Very well said. I am gonna have to get these interns to get a rein on this itinerary, though. Shut down the designated Brandon Patriots
It's
glaze
not
session for
stopping,
at least a
Patrick.
little
It's
bit.
not stopping. It's not.
It's look. I,
The
I need
regular
to talk
season
to
hasn't
these
even
interns.
started yet.
I need to talk to these interns. They got to get a
Yeah,
rein on it,
our
or I am gonna
interns,
have to bring the sports perspective team back in. And
our interns
as
that
much
we
as
have.
anybody, as much as anybody that I hate those guys. I fired them for a reason. So
Yeah,
it's
our
a serious
interns.
conversation that I'm about to have after we finish filming this episode.
To
Dire
all of our
consequences for
listeners,
those involved.
we do
But
have interns. We have actual legit interns that we pay something, uh,
it's
and
nothing.
they do work
It's
and they do
nothing.
work for us. And by the interns, I mean there's one of them. His name is Satrick Pimpson, I believe, and then there's Landon BeBlanc. Um, though I heard those guys are kind of weird, but those are our interns. They're
I'm
pretty,
gonna have to get the
chill.
sports perspective team back in, plain and simple. You
You
know,
can't stop the Patriots train is going to keep rolling. The season hasn't even started yet, and I'm already anticipating big things and extremely excited. Just imagine how bad it's going to be in week 5. Just think about that for a second. He's scared. I can tell.
I'm gonna stop this now. We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. We do have a couple more football questions. From Michael K. in Norton. Does Will Levis have a future in the league or in mayonnaise advertising? I mean,
So,
his
oof.
mayonnaise commercial was pretty good, right? It's pretty good.
He
On the
did
right
come
side.
out and say that there was not 32 quarterbacks in the league that were better than him. And I feel like this joke has been done to death, but I'm just going to do it. I'm going to, run it back one more time. He's right. There is not 32 quarterbacks in the league better than him. There's probably more like 50. I mean, Will Levis had a chance, granted, with not a great roster around him. I mean, I'm not going to call the Titans a good team by any stretch of the imagination when he was playing for them in 2024. But he his legacy in the sport as of right now is he has had some of the biggest lapses in judgment and game awareness I have ever seen in my life that have resulted in some of the funniest still frames ever taken from a football game. I mean, I'm talking fumbles where he tosses the ball up in the air, pick sixes where he's on the ground like this, just in awe of the fact that it's happening to him right now. Uh, so to Michael K and Norton, I think the Mayo commercial is a much more viable future for Mr. Levis. Uh, it is not looking good for his chances in the league. Obviously, the Titans have Cam Ward, drafted him first overall last year, so he's not getting any playing time on that team. And there are few teams that I can think of that he would have a chance on, but one of those teams we will talk about later, so stay tuned.
Yeah, he's seen very limited preseason action, even, which is a really bad sign. And he didn't look absolutely horrendous. I believe he only played 2 drives, and he looked okay. Looked all right. Like he did some stuff. He commanded a touchdown drive in the second game he played, so that was cool, I guess. But yeah, it's really not looking good at this moment in time. But moving on from that, from Brandon H. in Bellingham, what's your thoughts on the quarterback situation with the Falcons?
Oh, oh. First of all, shout out to a fellow Brandon. Way to represent. Good question and an even better name. So, Brandon Nation, let's go. And my goodness, the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
Uh, if I had to describe this in one word, I would say yikes. I mean, considering the roster they have around these guys, you have Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan Robinson on offense. You would look at that and say, that's an elite unit right there. Those are 3 of the better skilled players at their respective positions. Obviously, the Kyle Pitts memes, we've seen him. He is a talented tight end. He can play good football.
Just don't pick
I
him
mean,
in
if
fantasy.
yeah, maybe not. I'm still going to though. And then you look at Bijan Robinson. That's a top 5, top 3 running back in the league. You look at Drake London. That's one of the better wide receivers in the league. Their quarterbacks are so bad that I have no hopes for them to even sniff the playoffs because Michael Penix, when he's healthy, is kind of mid, but he's injured. And Tua Tagovailoa, Uh, I don't want to say anything derogatory about him. I want to see him retire. I really think it would be in his best interest for his career and for his health to retire from the game of football. He has looked a little lost. He has looked not a shell of his former self from his best years in Miami. It's rough. It is a rough looking quarterback room right now. And if I'm a Falcons fan, I have no idea who's going to start week 1. And if I wouldn't even want to think about it because I get sad.
Yeah, I mean, you did sum it up pretty well. Injuries aside, there is a world where Tua, returns to himself. Tua has been a talented, impressive quarterback in the past, and I think a lot of injuries, his lack of protecting himself, his lack of help from that team, including their medical staff marching him out there after how many head injuries he took, is
Jeez.
pretty absurd. But there's a world where, potentially with a better staff, a better medical staff, Tua can perform. It's just a big question mark right now. I don't know why you bring him in without giving him a shot at this moment in time. And I think the best thing for Michael Penix Jr. at this moment is rest. I believe he was pretty seriously injured last year, so just giving him more time to find himself a potential backup role, keep working, keep training, could look really good for him. Um, yeah, I mean, it's a two-horse race, and neither horse comes without their problems, truth be told. Not all of them football related,
The
both big injury concerns.
the one bright spot for the Falcons has been their undrafted rookie Jack Strand has actually looked pretty good in preseason. I believe his first game, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. So there's a little bit of promise there that maybe, this guy could, maybe be a spot starter or at least give you a little bit of entertainment uh, value, even if he's not going to win you many games. I believe their coach said that their goal for him is to get his name listed on his hometown's Wikipedia page as like a notable person. Uh, Crazy that he's not already on there, but that's probably the one good thing about their quarterback room right now. So, Atlanta fans, I'm sorry. Normally, I would take this time to gloat about 28-3, but I'm not going
You
to
just
because
did.
well, putting that aside, putting that aside, I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry. That quarterback room is rough. I would hate to waste another year of Bijan Robinson's prime because he is a, ridiculously talented player who one of the most versatile running backs in the league. You hate to see a talent like that just have another year wasted, but it's starting to look like that for Atlanta.
Yeah. Preseason aside, a lot of other news happening right now. It's time for me to catch a little rant because
Oh
Deshaun
boy.
Watson was named the starter for the Browns. Move not a single soul on this planet liked except for probably Deshaun Watson, but whether or not he has a soul is kind of still up in the air. Uh, Neither Deshaun nor Shador has performed incredibly well over the last couple weeks, truth be told, and yet they
Shocker.
decide to pick the rapist over Shador Sanders to helm that football team. Uh, he's in the past he already has a tumultuous relationship with Browns fans. He's criticized them for not having his back, for booing him when he went down with an injury, all sorts of things. And W Browns fans,
It's it is a situation that truly it's just despicable. It is really depressing that they forked over $230 million to Deshaun Watson and they're going to trot him out there and he's going to have the gall to say, "Oh, you guys didn't have my back. You guys were booing me." What? It's like they're supposed to have your back because you're some commendable, respectable person. It's not like these were just like little tiny allegations that never had any evidence behind them. This was a big public thing. This happened. He is not he should not be seeing a football field, but the Cleveland Browns have named him a starter.
yeah, 27 allegations against Deshaun Watson from 27 different women. I believe three were withdrawn, and the other 24 he had to handle privately. What that says, I'll let you infer yourself. And there was something else I saw. One of my friends sent this to one of my group chats, and I kind of feel like I had to talk about it because it's just a commentary on some of the places where the sports world is at a disservice to a lot of people in it. From we'll call him an analyst. Mark Stopa, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And I wanna make sure I read the tweet. I don't want to misconstrue his words because it is kind of a serious topic. Public perception is interesting. Michael Vick was forgiven. Tiger Woods forgiven. Kobe Bryant forgiven. Deshaun Watson is universally loathed years later. I'm not saying the response to Watson is wrong. It's just interesting to note the disparities. So there are two ways he could be playing that. He could be playing this the right way, the way I'm about to talk about it, or he could be trying to, defend Deshaun Watson and say that, hey, we shouldn't go after him this way. If that's the case, that's pretty ridiculous. I think Deshaun Watson is one area where, sports media and sports fans have actually gotten it right. And the truth of the matter is, why do these guys like Michael Vick, like Tiger Woods, like Kobe Bryant, not get any criticism for the extremely controversial, oftentimes illegal actions they committed, and Deshaun Watson does? Well, there's one truth. Deshaun Watson gets more hate than those guys because Deshaun Watson is not good at football. If Deshaun Watson was good at his sport, nobody would talk about it anymore. And is that a good thing? Absolutely not. This guy is saying Deshaun Watson should, not be talked about like this, like Michael Vick, like Tiger Woods, like Kobe Bryant. You can even look at the NBA didn't lift a finger against Karl Malone after he raped and impregnated a 13-year-old girl. They didn't do a thing. The sports have never done anything about this. It's absurd. And so to say, hey, maybe Deshaun should get treated like those guys, maybe those guys should get treated like Deshaun. Because we can't let people get away with this just because they're famous, just because they're rich. Do I want to talk about this on a sports podcast? Not particularly. But when the guy's being waved around in my face, oh, here's our starting quarterback. Oh, you guys shouldn't talk about him. What are we doing?
It is a really brutal condemnation of sports fans as a whole. And I can't remember which guy in the Browns organization said this. So I believe he was a coach or, personnel guy. He said, Deshaun, if you want them to stop booing you, all you have to do is play good football. And while you could, on the one hand, take it at face value and say, well, they won't boo him if he plays good, like, duh, it's obvious. I think there's something a little bit deeper to it. Whether it was intended this way or not is, up to your, interpretation. Sports fans tend to brush a lot aside if a player is good at their sport. You've talked about that just earlier. Kobe Bryant has a ridiculously loyal fan base that will drown out anything negative you say about the guy, whether it's related to basketball or otherwise. The same goes for Michael Vick. They have these dedicated fan bases because they are legends of their sport, and simply because they are good, their fans, the leagues they played for, do what they have to do to push all of the other stuff down. And it is really difficult to understand, and it certainly doesn't reflect well in the sports world that so many of these players have been able to essentially get away with things that would land a regular person in jail for the rest of their life. We look at Ray Rice on the Baltimore Ravens. He was caught on video dragging his girlfriend into an elevator by her hair. And if you ask a Ravens fan about him, they'll probably say, oh yeah, Ray Rice, he was a great running back for the Ravens. I loved watching him play. It is a really Conor McGregor is one of the biggest examples in the history of sports. That guy's laundry list of allegations, if I were to put it on paper, would probably roll down my stairs and out the door. He has had more public controversies than most athletes combined. But his fans will drown it all out. They'll say, dude, he was a double champ. He's one of the greatest fighters of all time. He's a legend. He's an icon. Deshaun Watson is being viewed this way, like you said, because he is not a legend of his sport. He didn't win 2 belts like Conor McGregor. He didn't win 5 chips with the Lakers like Kobe Bryant. He had a couple of good years with the Texans, signed a $230 million deal with the Browns, and has done nothing but stink it up both on and off the field in the years since. And he's come out and said, I got $200 million from the Browns. I signed a pretty big contract. No. What did you expect? Did you think the city of Cleveland was going to hold you up and say, heck yeah, man, you go get your $230 million contract? Absolutely not. not only do you kind of stink at football, you really stink as a person. It is 100% normal and to be expected that the fans would not want to get behind you. And to be quite frank, the Cleveland Browns have been an embarrassing organization in the league for football related issues and just generally not winning games for a long time now. This just seems to be another addition in a long, long history of bad decisions from the Cleveland Browns. The fact that they are in so deep with the Deshaun Watson signing that they're like, well, we have to play him because we're paying him $230 million and we don't want to just cut him and you have dead cap. It's pathetic and it's sad that it's even gotten this far and doesn't
It's a
reflect well on
commentary
Cleveland.
on sports as a whole, and trying to say Deshaun Watson should be treated like these other guys is ridiculous. I think those other guys shouldn't be treated like those other guys. Let me make that clear before I continue. They should be criticized just as much as Deshaun Watson for their actions. What people do should matter, whether or not they're talented at a sport. I think I'm definitely going to butcher the quote. I think it was Emperor Commodus from ancient Rome. Every guy thinks about the Roman Empire that said, "Give them food and games, and they'll never betray you," referring to the masses. If these people are entertained, the people of Los Angeles love Kobe Bryant. He won them 5 championships. You look at the people of Utah, they love Karl Malone because he's the best player they've ever had. You look at UFC fans and Conor McGregor, and they love him. Doesn't matter what they did; they're entertaining, and it's a sad spot. I think I want to stop talking about that there. I think that's enough of kind of a downtrend for what's supposed to be, a fun sports podcast. But
It sucks
as
that you have to address it, but I feel like that's too important to just like gloss over
yeah,
and act like it's not happening. Unfortunately, the next thing I think we have on the agenda is something that isn't exactly joyful for New England fans. Keyshawn Booty recently traded to the Texans for Jalen Reed and a pick, which I would be lying if I say I didn't see this coming. The Patriots wide receiver room is one of the most stacked in the entire league. Putting aside the fact that we have Hunter Henry at tight end, your wide receiver depth chart, you've got A.J. Brown, Romeo Dubes, Pop Douglas, Kyle Williams, Mac Hollins. Keyshawn Booty felt like the odd man out, a guy that is too good to be the third or fourth person on the depth chart and someone that probably should be getting a better opportunity elsewhere. The Patriots liked him. Obviously, we drafted him, but he just wasn't going to get the opportunities and reps that he probably should be getting on this Patriots team. So you shore up the secondary, you give Kayshawn a chance to be a number two or even maybe a number one on the Texans, depending on injuries. It's a tough trade, but I get it.
yeah, a lot of what the Patriots said about this is that, obviously there wasn't really any room for Kayshon Boutte, which is unfortunate, but they got a pretty young guy who's been pretty promising so far in Jalen Reed, and our defense did need some shoring up compared to our stacked wide receiver room. So it's not the end of the world. It's not like it was a horrible trade. It is pretty unfortunate to see for a lot of Patriots fans that like Kayshon Boutte, but that's really all I have on that.
Yeah, that's I will always remember that beautiful touchdown catch against the Texans in the swirling wind and snow in the divisional rounds. That was a truly beautiful moment, and Keyshawn Booty for that, uh, you will be you will be forever remembered in New England. New England fans are sad to see you go, and for all of the Patriots meme enjoyers out there, the "May I dig in your booty" meme is now gone. It is now pretty much gone. All we have left is Drake May after Kayshawn Booty has been traded and Stephon Diggs has signed with the Commanders. But it may have only been 1 year, but Kayshawn Booty, Diggs, and May was special. It was a special season, and I will remember it fondly. So that's all I've got on that.
Moving on, we have even more Patriots to the excited Brandon LeBlanc.
Yes.
Another viewer question from Luke M in North Andover. What would a letdown year look like for the Pats? And so here's what's interesting in my mind, right? The Patriots made the Super Bowl last year, and outside of New England, it feels like there are almost no expectations for this Patriots team. Many a sports fan will call last year's run a fluke. They'll say that we don't have the roster to get it done, that we got lucky, regardless of all the changes the Patriots have made going into this year, regardless of the potential improvement from other players. But so before I give my answer, let me ask you, Brandon, what do you think a letdown from the Patriots would be this year?
I think a letdown for the Patriots would be missing the playoffs. And I feel like with the way the roster is constructed, the way the AFC looks, and to be quite frank, the rest of the league and the wider sports world, I think underrating the Patriots. I think this team is more than good enough to make the playoffs again and win a playoff game. Are they going to go to the Super Bowl again? I don't know. It would be really hard to do that. It is hard to repeat as a champion. It is hard to even get back there twice in a row. That being said, this team is a playoff team. I truly believe that. It is not the homer in me saying that. It is the analytical sports fan trying to take a step back. If this team misses the playoffs, the NFL world will laugh and rejoice and say it was the schedule, but it will be a little disappointing if we miss the playoffs. And I know expectations in New England are always high, and I know that the rest of the NFL world is probably hoping that the Patriots aren't good this year. But I think in general, a baseline would be this team should win more games than they lose, and they should wind up at the very least in the wild card, in a wild card spot. So that's what I'm going to go out and say. We should make the playoffs this year, and if we don't, it is a letdown.
Yeah, I think that's pretty easy to say. I do think obviously injuries throughout the season are going to play a big part of it. They play a big part of every football season. But if the Patriots remain consistently healthy, I mean, when you do look at the state of the AFC, obviously there are a lot of great teams that maybe didn't do things they were supposed to last year. You had Josh Allen doing Josh Allen things, and the Bills ended up losing. So we'll see what happens with them. You have a potentially healthy Lamar Jackson this year, so maybe there's more competition. I thought about saying, maybe anything less than at least seeing the AFC Championship would feel like a letdown. But from an outside perspective, there are a lot of great teams in the AFC this year, and there were a lot of circumstances that went into the Patriots getting as far as they did. It would be pretty ridiculous to say otherwise. With that being said, they definitely should make the playoffs, and I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't make a run. I want to see them make the playoffs and at least being competitive in a game, even if they don't win. I believe that they probably should win at least a playoff game, regardless of who they play. If they get one of those lesser tier playoff teams in the AFC, I completely believe they win. A second round exit would not be a letdown, but if you get to the playoffs and get blown out in the first round, I would probably also consider that a letdown.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. And as always, expectations in New England are going to be higher than they are anywhere else, in the country, in the world. We're always going to expect more of our teams than the rest of the league does. Uh, Expectations might not be super high outside of New England, but here, all the guys who watch this team, all the people who are really into it and really, you know, follow the sport, they know this team is good and they have the potential to be great. So it's going to be a big year. See if last year was a fluke or not.
Moving away from football, we have a couple UFC fight nights to talk about. We had last week's that, of course, we made some predictions for, and then we got another one upcoming this weekend that's pretty big. I think we start with what happened last week. Uh, Gregory Rodriguez defeated Anthony Hernandez via unanimous decision. Any reactions, Brandon? Did you catch the fight? What do you think about that one?
So I did end up watching the fight after it happened, and the sort of biggest narrative I took away from this is that for Gregory Rodriguez, he managed to shake the narrative that he is a one trick pony. Going into this fight, the knock on him is that he has about one round of legitimate fight ending power, and then his lack of cardio and further game plan will come back to haunt him. That didn't happen here. He was able to knock down Fluffy Hernandez, who was a tough guy, knocked him down multiple times, had a very calculated game plan, was able to stuff 26 out of 29 takedown attempts from Fluffy and survive a 25-minute decision and come out on top in what I thought was a pretty convincing victory. So if you're Gregory Rodriguez, that's probably the best performance you've ever put on. It's definitely the best opponent you've ever faced. So impressive for Gregory Rodriguez. I think the next fight to make here is Rodriguez has to fight in the top five. And when you look at the matchups there, I think the most interesting fight for him would be Dricus du Plessis. Two big, strong, powerful middleweights with very awkward striking styles who might lack a little bit on the cardio. I think if you want to push Rodriguez into the top five, that's the best chance you have. He's not fighting for a belt yet, so Strickland is out. Imavov, I do believe, would piece him up. As much as I'm not the biggest fan of Nasruddin Imavov, I believe that's a mismatch there. And Hamzat Chimaev, as much as he may have lost his last fight, is still an absolute wrecking ball. And the takedown defense looks good against Fluffy. As we've seen, Hamzat is a totally different beast. I mean, his energy and ferocity when it comes to pursuing the takedowns and chaining together the wrestling is, not matched in all of middleweight. So I would not like to see Rodriguez get matched up with Chimaev. So Rodriguez, congratulations. Big win, biggest of your career. I want to see him fight in the top five next. I want to see some new blood. I want to see a good fight. And Rodriguez always shows up to throw. There's a reason why his two nicknames are Jacked Obama and Robocop. He is an absolute dog and he can throw hands. So very, very good card overall. I was able to catch some highlights. I believe Vitor Petrino won over Sergey Spivak at heavyweight. So Petrino entering the top 10 there. Uh, yeah, were you able to catch it?
I was not. I was not able to catch the fight. I had other commitments on Saturday. We had a lot of family stuff going on. But regardless, I mean, Vegas had Rodriguez as the clear underdog, which I think is interesting. I mean, I think considering the fact that Hernandez was ranked going into the fight, a lot of people would have assumed that. So seeing that, very impressive. I'm sure there are quite a few people that won a lot of money off of that fight. But
Yeah.
following that, we do have a pretty big fight night this weekend, is what I would consider. They're heading to Shanghai. And the main event is going to be Umar Nurmagomedov versus Song Yadong.
Good fight. Really good fight. Two guys that have been in the bantamweight title picture for a long time. Obviously, Umar Nurmagomedov got a shot at the undisputed title and lost, I believe, a 48-47 unanimous decision. Might have been split against Merab Dvalishvili. Song Yadong is a guy he's been around the title picture for a while, but hasn't been able to crack into a championship bout. It's a good fight. It's a sort of evenly matched fight in a lot of areas. Uh, if I had to put money on it, I would say Umar is the favorite. When you look at their records, Umar Nurmagomedov has one loss on his record, one singular loss, and that was to Merab Dvalishvili at arguably his peak in his title run at bantamweight. Song Yadong has fought some great names, but he's lost to Sean O'Malley. He's lost to Corey Sandhagen. When he fights up, it tends to be a competitive fight that he can't seem to come out on top of. Umar is one of the best. He is arguably the second best bantamweight in the entire division. And if I had to predict it, I would say it's a close fight. It probably goes to decision given the fact that Umar is not exactly a lethal finisher, at least in his last couple of fights, and Seong Yadong hasn't been able to get the finish against someone he's fighting up against in a while either. I would predict a competitive but clear decision victory for Umar Nurmagomedov.
So let me ask you this, Brandon. How much do you think that the crowd is going to play into this one? Because Song Yadong resides in Sacramento, California now, but let's not forget he was born and raised in China. You know who they're going to be rooting for. And with how many events that they may or may not get there, you don't see really any sporting companies from the United States go to China very often. So with how emblazoned these fans are going to be for this event, do you think that plays a factor at all?
I think against a lesser opponent, it could have more of a factor. And what I will say is that there have been a couple notable instances where fighters walk into enemy territory and come out with the dub. Uh, UFC 2, I want to say 284. Yeah, 284. Volkanovski versus Makhachev. They fight in Australia. Islam Makhachev goes out there. One of the best fights in the history of the company. If you haven't watched it, go watch it now. But Islam Makhachev walks in there into Perth, Australia, and comes out with a victory, retains the belt. You look at Max Holloway uh, going into enemy territory against Chan Sung Jung, the Korean zombie, fights zombie home territory, puts him out cold. I mean, it is tough. Obviously, you would like to think that it would play somewhat of a factor, but the Nurmagomedov camp is probably the most mentally disciplined camp in the entire sport. These guys are tough. They are disciplined. They very rarely get fazed by a crowd. They are more than comfortable walking into enemy territory with the whole crowd against them and going out there and dominating. So I think Song will be motivated to go out there and find the victory. I don't know if it will be enough to change the outcome of the fight. Umar Nurmagomedov, as much as I may not like his fighting style, ridiculously well-rounded. Striking is excellent. His grappling is excellent. Entries on his takedowns are smooth. His only issue so far has been that his cardio can fade a little at the back end of fights. But I assure you, Khabib and the rest of the guys in that camp would probably not take it easy on him during this camp. They've made sure that he is in tip-top shape for this fight. So it's going to be hard for Song Yadong to get the win, even in front of his home crowd.
Very well said. Great analysis. I believe that's all we have on UFC for now. Speaking of which, we only have one more question for the day.
Ooh.
From Mike S. in the South Bay House of Corrections. Patrick, where did you get that awesome Larry Bird painting in your background? Very targeted question. We're, of course, talking about this painting right here. And
it's a good painting.
That was done by my Uncle Kevin. It was down in my basement for a long time. It was originally a gift to my dad. And while it was sitting in our basement, I, appropriated it for my wall. It looks incredible. Great little action shot of Larry Bird getting ready for what's probably a free throw, if I had to guess. My uncle's a super talented artist. I also have a painting of his that I'm looking to get on this wall. I have it hanging up on the wall on the other side of my room, so you can't really see it right now. It's a great painting of Kevin Garnett. And Kevin Garnett's one of my all-time favorite Celtics. So he's super talented. I'm super grateful to have, two great Celtics paintings from him. Both are absolutely incredible. I love having them in my room. With that being said, that is our last note for the day. I have a little bit of housekeeping, but let me ask you first. Do you have anything else, Brandon?
I could have swore that was a photograph. That is a ridiculously well done painting of Larry Legend. And get big ticket up there too. Like Patrick said, he is also one of my favorite Celtics players of all time. Growing up, being 5 years old, let me see. I think I have it in my desk somewhere. I used to put on this headband right here, pretend I was Rajon Rondo, throwing up dimes to KG, big ticket. So again, would be sick to have the two paintings in the background, just showing that we in our hearts we're homers. We love our Boston teams. But that's all I've got. Good episode. Obviously, I'll be dialed in on the UFC and on Patriots preseason action in the upcoming weeks, and just excited to keep the ball rolling with this.
Absolutely. So like I said, a little bit of housekeeping. With, certain topics, obviously we get a lot of great questions in the question submission form. But like today, we talked about the European Champions League, just to, testing the waters a little bit. We've talked about other much smaller sports in the past. If there's something you hear us talk about that you like, or, just a topic we haven't talked about that maybe you want to hear our opinion on, feel free to drop it in the question submission form. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a question. You can just throw in, hey, what do you guys think of this as a topic in general? Like if you like, whatever kind of sport you're into. We do our best to cover as many sports as possible on the show. Obviously, we stick mostly to the super big stuff, as that's what most people are interested in. But if we know we have a fan out there that is interested in something, we will talk about it. So make sure to let us know and keep coming with the good questions. We love answering them. With that being said, anything else from you, Brandon?
No, that's it. Excited to be back here next week.
All right, then. From us at the Play-by-Play, thank you for listening.
Thank you for watching the Play-by-Play with Patrick and Brandon. Make sure to check our Instagram to stay up to date with the show, and make sure to come back next Wednesday for a new episode.